back to the Unpatched Gaming Podcast, where we share games. I'm your host, Zach.
And I'm your host, Tyler. We're here to share a classic, two classics.
Dos
Zach.
Clásicos.
And unfortunately, I didn't get to finish either of them. It's been a very busy week for me.
Yeah.
But we are playing Silent Hill 1 and 2, or we did play Silent Hill 1 and 2. And unfortunately, in my complete disarray this week, I forgot to bring my copy of Silent Hill 2. I got it on the Xbox, so Restless Dreams, the Restless Dreams version. Save yourself the money. If you're looking to pick up a copy, save yourself $100 and just get the Xbox version. It runs very well.
But thankfully, instead, we have Resident Evil, which is basically the same game. No, don't. That was a joke.
It's not.
Please don't hurt me.
It is not at all. But we're also here to share beer. And we have an Oktoberfest finishing out our seasonal beers. We have a Marzen-style Oktoberfest from 903. I've not had anything from 903, but we have... I'm just going to read the can here. Our medium body Marzen Oktoberfest is a malt-forward, tasty treat. Light amber in color, the 903 Oktoberfest finishes dry and clean. This seasonal lager is rich, roasty, and quite delectable.
Listen to that. Every brewer out there, that's what it would sound like if you sponsored us. Isn't that delightful? I mean, you made me thirsty just listening.
I make myself thirsty.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
Now don't sponsor us.
You make me thirsty, Tyler.
Yes, beer sponsors. That would be so nice.
Making me thirsty!
Bro, we should... I mean, I post about fair weather every time I have a drink. They shared one of my posts recently. But I should maybe reach out to some of those folks right around the house. Like fair weather, Fourth Tap. Maybe not Fourth Tap.
This is really toasty.
Really?
And I like it.
I'm sorry, Zach, you mean roasty.
Oh, roasty. Apologies. Yeah. Apologies. I'm going to leave now.
You should. Ooh, this smells delicious.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite of the Oktoberfests I've had this season. I've not found too many that are stellar, that are new at least. A lot of them are really Belgian-y, I've found.
This does taste really great. It's, I don't know, just for lack of, any mental faculties right now, I'm just going to use the word complex.
Oh, it's got so much in there.
Correct. I've got one more Oktoberfest at home. This one's for myself. I discovered the Family Brewing Company. Have you had any of their beers?
I have.
I had, I don't like lagers very much.
Which is a shame.
But they have a lager that I tried very recently that was incredible. Complex. It had a lot going on, much more
Guys,
than...
Tyler had a really long list.
Yeah, much more than your typical light beer, your light lawn beer. I had a lot going for it. I thought it was really great. I picked up 5 of their brews, I think.
Very nice.
And they've got a pretzel Oktoberfest that I will be trying very soon.
These pretzels are making me thirsty. So I have a question for you, real quick. Mm-hmm. We're kind of intentionally playing Silent Hill 1 and 2 to check off some classics, right? Some games that are just,
I can't even consider having played them at this point.
Okay.
I'm mad at myself. I really am.
You've touched them. But what are some other classics that are missing for you?
Well, we know we've got the upcoming, your favorite game, Metal Gear Solid. I'm going to just take a little side tangent here. I was talking to Katie about how bad I am with names, and I've noticed, listening to myself here on the podcast, I can remember features of just about anything, including game studios. So the features of the game studio will be their list of games, and I can name each of them off to you. But then in the next sentence, no, literally the next sentence, I will forget. I'll have to name it's the newer sort of horror game that does this and this. But 20 seconds ago, I said the title.
Incredible.
It's the features that I have to remember. I wonder what goes on to cause that. I don't know.
I wonder what's going inside of his head. Mm-hmm. Yeah. No.
So other classics, we've got Metal Gear Solid. I have played Mass Effect 1. I've not played Mass Effect 2, which would be the more important one.
Yeah, I have not played any Mass Effect.
I've never
played
finished
a little bit of
Myst.
but
Let's see.
pretty
I'm
much
sorry, tapping the mic.
Name an adventure game I probably haven't played it. There's a lot of the old school, like Curse of Monkey Island.
Yeah, I was just about to say Monkey Island, and then most anything from Double Fine, the earlier stuff from Double Fine. Wait, no, not Double Fine, from LucasArts, because
this was pre
Grim Fandango's LucasArts, right?
Yeah,
okay,
I believe
okay. So
it's
early
Tim Schafer, but
early Tim Schafer, not Double
but
Fine.
LucasArts. Yeah, I haven't played those. That's definitely.
I've played quite a few Double Fine games actually. Stacking being one of them. The first one I think I played. That's a weird little 3D adventure game.
That sounds like a game you would play.
Have you seen Stacking?
No.
It's set in like the Roaring 20s. Industrialization is happening, but every single character in the game is a Russian nesting doll, and you just walk around and do puzzles and things. It's a classic puzzle adventure game, but it's got a really weird like wood carved and nesting doll aesthetic. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah, I think.
What else?
There's a couple that are still definitely missing from
I'm looking off to his shelves around here to see if he's got anything.
Yeah, probably nothing that you haven't played that's a classic.
Well, I've not played Super Metroid.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, I've played all the other Metroid games.
Yeah, that's
about to play Dread.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
But Super Metroid is not on the list.
Yeah, there's a couple that I'm trying to think older, but there's a few that I haven't played as well. But yeah, most of the stuff you've listed though, the Mass Effect.
What else? Maybe some modern ones. I've not played Halo 3. I don't know if that would count.
I mean, if you've played
one of the
first
2.
three, yeah,
I played 1 and 2.
I feel like that counts.
Okay.
I have never played Modern Warfare.
Oh.
I've played like Modern Warfare 2. I've played,
Yeah, that's fine.
Sure, but like technically that's the one,
Yeah, but you could just play Modern Warfare 2 and you're getting a very similar and better experience.
Sure. I will eventually play that campaign.
Still very good.
Just to play it,
Let's see. I'm interested in that question. I don't know if you'd put this on a classics list, but I haven't played Daggerfall. I'd really like to try Daggerfall.
I don't know if I would. I'd definitely put Morrowind.
I'm not very interested in Morrowind. I like the aesthetic. I like the world, but
I'm pretty interested in Morrowind.
It's, the writing, it moved mostly into a new direction. People talk a lot about how good the writing is. I think most people talking about it are doing so with rose-tinted glasses.
Okay.
It is because I've watched rebuttals. I've consumed a lot of Elder Scrolls content. I kind of want to do an Elder Scrolls side series, but the writing in that game is incredibly repetitive. Everyone in any given town basically has the same thing. Sure, they might be, you might find single dialogue lines that are pretty cool, but every person in town has those same dialogue lines, and then there's really nothing further beyond those.
Okay. I'm still interested in playing it.
Yeah, it is what modern Elder Scrolls became. Like, it started there, but those first 2 games were something else entirely.
Yeah.
And I'd like to try that. I've played Oblivion, which is enough of Morrowind to get the picture.
My current biggest classic that is not checked off is Deus Ex.
I always forget. Yes,
yeah, that's my number one. Not only because it's so pivotal, but because it's just, I love immersive sims. Like, yeah. I need to play Deus Ex, so that's probably my number one.
I'd probably agree with you. I forget about it all the time though.
Yeah, because it's a little bit, it's in that weird niche, of like immersive sims are easy to like because they kind of live in their own space. They don't really reach out and influence other genres, and other genres don't really reach in and influence them too much. It's really this little space all into itself that really only Arcane is doing anything with. So excited to play Deathloop, by the way. Don't know anything about it. Don't know if it has any MSIM qualities, but I am excited.
These are squeaky chairs. Did you just come up with that?
No, I did not.
I've never heard anyone say that.
I think I've heard
I hate
Charlotte
it.
and Wonder say it.
I hate it.
You hate it?
MSim?
ImSim.
Yeah, I hear ImSim, MSim, whatever. I hear it. I know
Well,
what
now I'm
you
going to
mean,
say it
and now
really.
I hate it.
Now I'm going to say it more frequently.
Ew.
Knowing that it is a bother to you.
Let's see. I have not played Fallout 2.
Yeah, like,
That's a
but
good
you've
one.
played Planescape Torment, which is a pretty big, pivotal CRPG. That
It
was
is,
after
but they're very... I've played enough of Fallout 2 to know they're very different.
Yeah. And Fallout 2, when people talk about classic CRPGs, I feel as though that's the gold standard. That and Baldur's Gate 2 are what they're, like, holding it up to. From my understanding, at least.
Which ones?
Fallout 2 and Baldur's Gate 2 are the two classic CRPGs.
Really? Fallout 2, definitely. I hear more about Planescape than I do Baldur's Gate.
I guess, yeah.
Baldur's Gate may have sold
Well, when
more.
was Planescape? In my mind, it came out later than those.
No, we just talked. I don't know. I couldn't give you numbers on
Because that's
dates
what I'm
and
thinking.
sales.
I thought it was just
but
kind of like a later and what I would consider, from what I've seen, better
just
iteration of
before
those
the
games.
cast, you were talking about something. You said that critically it was not received very well. Whatever game we were talking about, but the sort
Silent Hill
of
4.
post mortem of that game and seeing what it has influenced definitely paints a different picture. That's true of Planescape Torment. Planescape Torment was an oddity. It's got a really ugly case. It didn't have great shelf presence. It didn't do very well. But historically, that's a very important game. And I would put it up there with Silent Hill 2. And I hear about it in sort of in historical references much more than Baldur's Gate 2.
Okay, interesting. Well, I was terribly wrong. Baldur's Gate 2 came out after Planescape. So it's Fallout 2, Planescape, Baldur's Gate 2. And I think Baldur's Gate 1 came out the same year as Fallout, yes. So
I've played a bit of Baldur's Gate 2. I
now
could never...
knowing that they're all in the same camp, I would then say Fallout 2 and Planescape. Because in my mind, Planescape was a little bit more significantly afterwards. But knowing that timeline now, I definitely say Fallout 2 and Planescape.
Okay. We are here to talk about other classics, though.
Yes, that was supposed to be a little brief intro, but I like the rabbit hole there.
Yeah, rabbit holes are good.
I have now been able to check off both Silent Hill 1 and 2. So let's talk about Silent Hill 1. I have not played any Silent Hill games.
Neither
I
have
have
I.
watched many videos talking about the bad Silent Hill video games. Book of Memories, Book of something, Shattered Memories.
Homecoming. I actually
Origins.
really want to play Homecoming.
Really?
I've always wanted to play Homecoming.
Me too, because of
not knowing anything about. I almost said Resident Evil,
it's
Silent
the
Hill.
team involved that interests me about Homecoming.
I don't know much about it. I've only seen trailers when it came out, images, reviews. I was interested in it. I never got around to playing it though.
Yeah. So all that to say that Silent Hill 1 is that I played PS3. I think we both did, right? We both played the PS3.
The digital the
Digital
PS1 classic.
Yeah, the PS1 classic on PS3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we played it. Probably the best way to play it right now, honestly.
Or maybe if you have a PlayStation Vita or a PSP, maybe play it on those.
Definitely. I was reading some Reddit comments talking about people who think it's the best way to play it, actually.
If I were to ever try it again, I didn't finish it, not because I didn't have time. I didn't like it. I really couldn't play it. I got enough. I got the picture.
Any recurring viewers will know that I tend to have a little more patience with BS than Tyler.
And you need a lot with this game. It's very old, and I'm not really holding anything against it. I'm not even saying it's poorly designed.
It's showing its age worse than almost any
game
I've
played really.
Yeah.
That I can think of. Certainly that I can think of. It shows its age, and it is almost unplayable today. You might be able to find an emulator or something and get some.
Well, real quick, go down that
workarounds.
rabbit hole. What makes it hard to play? Because that's something I wanted to talk about. Because I didn't have does it hold up today? I didn't even bother writing that. I was like, what makes it hard to play today?
The controls. Many people will probably be familiar with tank controls,
And it's not the tank controls, like the fact that it's tank controls that it's bad.
No, I inherently don't like tank controls, but I understand them. I can wrap my head around them. If I were to play the Resident Evil remake, I could play that just fine. but with the tank controls. But this is a very early attempt at that. Everything is so clunky. The menu system, just running and walking and attacking, and the fog is so oppressive. And I know it's intentional. The fog is so oppressive. The enemies, they leave your line of sight very quickly, and then you're just running in a circle waiting for them to re-enter the fog. Okay, guys, come on. And then you've got to turn your body, then
and
move
it's not
forward.
responsive. Like if you stop running and then start running again, like there's a very large stall against enemies that will kill you for that.
Yeah.
The enemies are a little bit too responsive for how responsive you can be. There's some strafe buttons. Specifically, the worst part in the whole game is the boss fight with Sybil, where she's shooting at you with a gun, and you're having to like kind of strafe to dodge her, and it's so difficult to control.
Is that the cop?
Yeah.
Why do you have to fight her?
She gets possessed by that.
Oh, spoilers throughout. No spoiler warning even.
Yeah.
Aside from this, we're not going to post anything on the screen, which I think we started with the last episode. These are 20 years old at this point, 20 and 25 years old. So spoilers throughout.
This is definitely spoilerific. So, but she gets possessed by this worm thing. You can save her.
Oh, I think I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah, it's the worst because she shoots you and you fall all the way down. If you're not at full health, you're probably going to die. If you are at full health, you're sitting on the ground, and if you're unlucky enough to get a second shot from her, you're just dead. You have to hope that she just doesn't shoot you again. You have to basically get her to waste her ammo so you can take her out.
Okay.
So, but the strafe is the only way to really dodge her without running, because if you run too far away, she'll reset and get on this little carousel ride, and you have to go find her again. It's really frustrating, so you have to kind of strafe. But if you don't push exactly the right way, keep holding the run button and let go and press the next strafe button to strafe back the other way, Harry will literally stop for a full second before strafing again. And God forbid you let go of the run button accidentally. God forbid. Because you will slow down, have to complete stop, and then start running again. It's like, I like tank controls. I played all of Silent Hill 2 with tank controls.
You can turn tank controls on in Silent Hill 2? The remake?
I just played the PS2 version. That's all I played.
Oh, okay. I, for some reason, thought we were talking about Resident Evil for a moment.
Oh.
I was like, what are you talking about?
No, I did not play Resident Evil 2
See what I'm talking about, folks?
Controls.
It's been a long-ass week, okay?
No, so Silent Hill 2, I played the whole game with tank controls. And really clean. I never once felt like it was the game's fault for me getting hit.
Okay.
It's far more responsive. What Tyler means when he says these controls are bad is it feels bad to control Harry.
And
just does.
Attacking is also, if you're doing melee, which it encourages you to do to save ammo. I think a pop-up shows up when you pick up ammo for the first time. Try to conserve this. Don't use it very often. Whatever it does there. It encourages you to conserve your ammo. Use melee. But, and this is also true of Resident Evil 2, Silent Hill 2, you have an inconsistent cooldown between melee hits. And there really is no consistency. And I thought maybe for a little bit it was the direction of your swing. So when you swing, let's say a pole or a board or whatever, you're going to swing and then your arm is on this side. So I thought maybe now the cooldown for swinging to the right is going to be a little longer than when you're swinging to the left. That's not the case.
Totally
just inconsistent cooldowns for any use of a melee item in the middle of combat. And then enemies also have inconsistent health. So some of them will run away and maybe they heal, but even just during combat, you're walking down the streets, a flyer comes in, and the one I took out on the previous intersection, which you're exploring a city with 5 or 6 blocks. The one I took out on the previous intersection took 3 shots to take out of the air, and then I went and stomped his head. This one, I have unloaded 8 successful shots on.
Yeah, and it's not always successful. That's something to remember.
Yeah,
which
but
is
I can
intentional.
see the blood. It's not 3 successful shots.
No, I'm just reminding.
It's completely inconsistent. But yes, you do miss sometimes.
Which I like. I think it's not something they did in Silent Hill 2 that I think they should have kept, actually. Is I like that based on the distance, it's like a dice roll. Like, there's a chance to hit. I liked that.
Yeah, I was not mad about that. It's
No,
just
it's
the
just
inconsistency.
That, yeah, it's which I totally understand, and I agree with fully. I think having completed the game, the boss encounters are all trash. Every boss encounter is trash. It is either sit there and shoot and keep healing, maybe try to run a little bit, or just total BS like Sybil. Like you have to fight this giant larva thing. You just have to sit there and unload into it and keep healing and just keep unloading. It's extremely frustrating and just poor. It's not good design. It's just a enemy with a lot of health that you have to shoot. Nothing changes. There's no strategy. It's not good. And then I think my biggest complaint, which unfortunately carried over to Silent Hill 2,
I think this is where you and I are going to disagree.
is the menu.
Oh, okay.
Having to pause
Understood.
every time you need to switch an item, reload, which in Silent Hill 2, if you're out of ammo, he'll reload automatically, which is the same, I think, in Silent Hill 1, but to a lesser extent. But yeah, you have to pause to fully pause the game and shuffle through your massive inventory of items to equip a new weapon or to use an item or to or to heal even.
I don't think healing is true. I always go back into the menu because I want to make sure I'm using the right healing item for the amount of health I need to heal. But did you look at the controls?
Yeah, but I don't trust it. That's I do exactly why you said it. I wanted to use the healing item that I wanted to use. I didn't know how that worked, and it's not a game.
So basically, you can press in one of the sticks and that will heal. But we should just look online to see how it handles that. If there's a threshold before it uses your med kit instead of your drink.
Even so, that's still way too much pausing.
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
And in the middle of combat is when you're pausing the most, because you need to switch to a melee weapon or switch to a different firearm, reload if you're in the middle of a clip. Combat's should be when you're pausing the least in a video game, because it's trying to suck you in. It's trying to keep you, keep that adrenaline high, right?
Yeah.
Keep it. Just sucks. It just
really
sucks. Unfortunately. So, all that to say, those are the reasons this game doesn't hold up today. But why does it stand out? That's
You're
going
gonna
to
have to tell
question.
me that because I didn't finish.
You didn't find? Did you find anything that stood out? That's the question.
I liked the soundtrack. I like the. I'm sure I've invoked this way too many times, but it definitely gives off some Twin Peaks vibes in the beginning.
I thought that immediately.
Opening cutscene is so
I think
good.
the statement could be made that Twin Peaks is among the top 5 most influential things created in the past 50 years.
Maybe.
It is everywhere. Anyway.
And we know this because of Netflix. I'd not heard anybody ever talk about Twin Peaks before it came to Netflix. And I think it just brought it to so many people's attention. And now you can see it, not just Twin Peaks, but its influence everywhere.
Yeah, it's an important thing. It's an important thing.
It is.
So for me, and I'm stealing this from an article that I read, but why people always talk about Silent Hill and Resident Evil as the 2 PSX classic survival horror games is not because they're the same. Otherwise, they would just talk about Resident Evil. Since Silent Hill came, 3 years after Resident Evil?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think Resident Evil was 96 and Silent Hill 1 is 99. So, significantly after Resident Evil. And he talked about because it's about psychological horror. It's no longer this campy B movie. And it has camp. I'm saying it's not campy. But
especially
it's
Silent
not
Hill 2.
campy horror. The horror in Resident Evil is very much the virus and it infected the population and oh, the scientist is evil and, you know, like all these very classic, you know, 80s, 70s B-movie horror tropes. To the point where we say it's a horror genre more than a horror game in most times, right? Like, it's not, there aren't truly horrifying moments. It's not trying to horrify you. It is pulling from horror tropes and ideas, right? And we even mentioned that in our Resident Evil 2 episode. Silent Hill is psychological horror. It is getting under your skin. It is trying to, you know, to play off of the characters and their beliefs and what they think. Silent Hill 1, you are encountering everybody, basically Alessa's, your daughter's demons in these creatures and in the world. And in Silent Hill 2, you're encountering James's, his own demons, right? There's and some others, yeah,
that are disgusting.
Yeah,
which
we'll talk
we will
about
not
that.
show here.
Yeah, but we will talk about it. It's so yeah, it's really, I think that is at the heart of a lot of why it was so important. Is it brought a type of horror that in film was already considered, you know, the way to go if you're looking for scary, right? Something like I think among those earlier, like, you know, around the same era as the movies I was talking about, Resident Evil, The Shining. The Shining is not a classic horror movie in that sense. It's very much a psychological horror movie. It's about a family and this pressure and just a little bit more, just twisting that thumb just a little more and a little more. Dude, the scene every time he goes to the bar, I love it.
It's so good.
It's incredible.
It's pretty funny too.
Dude, it's got great humor in that movie. Even like in the really dark moments, you're laughing a little bit, and you're like, I should not be laughing. Like when he's like basically stalking his wife, and she has the bat. Like I've laughed out loud at that scene, and I'm like, am I just terrible, or
yes,
is there
you're
like
just terrible,
or is there something there?
I mean, the scene looks funny. I don't mean to be mean, but she's
horrible.
A very unique human being,
and like
nobody looks like she does. And when she's terrified, holding a bat like nobody else holds a bat, like you're not gonna do anything with that bat, holding it like that. It's kind of comical.
Yeah, it's something else. But that psychological horror is what it's pulling from, right? Things that honestly come in a lot of the folk horror movies that you like, you know, that they tend to lean more in that direction. And so to see that in a game and portrayed what I would say well, I think that they portray every little detail of that part of it, of the experience very well. I remember, for me, it's, you know, walking through the town and turning around into that back alley and just seeing this vague blue, black, red mass of something that may have been a creature at one point, just sitting there behind the alley. Like, it's just, what is this? And I think that vagueness is key to both Silent Hill games, because even in the graphical fidelity upgrade of Silent Hill 2, the game does not remove the vague. Like, it is hard to see exactly what that creature is. It's hard to see its form. It's hard to figure out what it's exactly trying to be. And I think that's to its benefit. I think the ability to communicate that vagueness is so key. And I'm going to get to that in a little bit too. But obviously the other thing the game
seems
offers
like an
is the town.
to communicate the vagueness.
Yeah. It's because by being vague, it's communicating something that it couldn't without being vague.
I guess.
Isn't that weird?
It's a little
bizarre, yeah. But yeah, and then the other thing obviously is the atmosphere, the town. Just again stumbling across that little thing in the back alley, you know, or stumbling across, you know, just a perfectly idyllic little section of houses, followed by just blood streaks curving the side. Flickering back and forth between the otherworld town and this town.
What is the deal with Silent Hill, the town? It seems to be a different town in both games.
I think it's the same town.
But it's nowhere... I mean, there must be these parts of town must be very far apart. Because you get a pretty large section of the town in Silent Hill 2, and then in Silent Hill 1 as well. Now, I mean, it's an old game, so I just took it for, you know, being like a small, Grand Theft Auto 3 to Grand Theft Auto 5, like it was just the size of the world was just hampered by the time.
So I know that they're the same town from a story standpoint, because there's a moment in Silent Hill 2 where you have to answer some radio questions about the layout of the town and things that you wouldn't know if you hadn't played Silent Hill 1. It's just a little bonus thing. You get extra healing and ammo and stuff for answering it right. But yeah, they're definitely the same town.
Interesting.
So, but I mean, obviously it's again vague. That line is blurred. Like, how much are they? When is this happening? Why is this happening?
Yeah.
The true ending of Silent Hill 2 is actually, I watched it because I didn't get it. Obviously, you have to finish the game at least twice. At least twice, I think, to get it. But it's
I've never appreciated those sort of things where you have to play the game multiple times, and the most egregious. The most there is probably something else that I have not heard of, but in my experience, the most egregious post-game unlock or like replay, New Game Plus unlock is Path of Radiance. What is that? Fire Emblem. Goodness gracious. Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. You get some of the boss characters. You can unlock them in subsequent playthroughs. Just take a guess. How many playthroughs?
Oh, it's a lot, right?
25 playthroughs for some of
insane.
those characters.
That's
It's insane.
Yeah, that's...
It's just actual stupidity. Don't put them in at all. At
So
that point.
I think it's different for Silent Hill 2 because do you know how you unlock the different endings?
No.
By your behavior.
Okay.
It has nothing to do... Well, the true ending, you'd have to pick up some items, and then if you want the UFO ending, like the silly endings, you have to do some things. But or the dog ending. But there's... Basically, like, I got an ending where James ends up taking his own life at the end. And you get that by inspecting the knife that you get from Angela in your inventory, maybe more than once. I
definitely inspected it.
Yeah, by maybe being at low health a little bit more frequently than not, by not spending too much time, like extra time with Maria, and did you get to Maria? Yeah. So not spending extra time with her at all. Maybe looking up after Angela at a certain point. Like, it's literally how you're behaving in the game that dictates the ending. Which I like.
But why does it require subsequent playthroughs to unlock?
Because they don't want you to get the true ending the first round, basically. Because I think from their perspective, these sadder endings are better for the game. Because the true ending's a little bit more hopeful. Which we'll talk about when we get Silent Hill 2. Okay. But,
all right.
So
it
here's...
seems like we're there.
Almost. I want to talk about one thing, though, with Silent Hill 1, and it's about remakes. I'm talking about remakes. I mean, we live in the golden age of remakes, in my opinion, where you get a studio like Bluepoint doing some of the most faithful and incredible updates to games. Period. It is the golden age where everybody's talking about, well, what can we remake this, and how about we remake that? And one that gets thrown around a lot is Metal Gear Solid 1. Why not remake Metal Gear Solid 1? It's an old PSX game. Like, let's just do this. And I disagree. Sure, to remake it would be great. Like, it'd be fun to have more Metal Gear in my life. But I've played Metal Gear Solid, and I've played Silent Hill. Metal Gear Solid is today a fun video game. It has problems that, could be updated, but it is a fun, fully playable video game that I would recommend to a vast quantity of people because it holds up. Many of its aspects hold up today. I think a lot of it's the layout of the game, the perspective, the way certain puzzles and items work and things like that. It just works. Silent Hill 1 fundamentally does not work today. It is not a game I'd recommend to almost any human being in its current state.
I definitely wouldn't.
But it has all those ideas. The school, because another huge issue I have with the game is its pacing. These internal areas are just massive and really long and winding and maze-like. You could wander for hours without a guide. Just hours. And then you come out and do a little short section of Silent Hill, and then you go to this other really long, dense section. And it's just not, the pacing is not there. But the school's puzzles, like getting through those puzzles and finding those like little riddles here, and the, stumbling across the 3 notes in the front office that'll tell you kind of what you're supposed to be doing, what you're supposed to be looking for, and searching for those, and trying to survive in that space. That's really good. It's a fun loop. I really like it. It just needs some tweaking. Mm-hmm. It needs a
lot of tweaking.
So I think it's far more deserving of a remake than something like Metal Gear Solid.
I haven't played Metal Gear Solid, but I definitely think that you're right. This needs a remake. I can't think of anything that needs a remake more than this.
Yeah, because
like Myst, we don't need another version of Myst.
I can play the classic Myst and have the same.
I would still go with the first remake, which came out soon after the Masterpiece Edition.
Oh yeah,
and then the one that mixed features from the original and the remake to make real Myst Masterpiece Edition. That's the one. That's the one. Not whatever they have now. That just looks bad. I don't think the remake looks good at all. Anyway. I think the reason why people typically say that or don't immediately go for Silent Hill when we're talking about needed remakes is because there aren't many people like you and I that are playing it for the first time. I don't like Silent Hill. I would like to see... I'm not going to play it. I would like to... I'd be interested in a remake. You, however, you're able to dig deep. You have way more patience than most people and see what could be if this game were presented with some modern updates. You're able to see that. Most people that talk about Silent Hill have already played Silent Hill. They grew up with Silent Hill and see... Well, not only do they see past that, but playing it when it came out, you didn't have the... not foresight, but the hindsight to know that that's pretty bad. So it was good
and
when it came out. And I bet
you it's the same people who are replaying Metal Gear Solid so frequently that it's always there at the top of their mind. Like, oh, we should get a remake of this game.
Yeah, so those people already talk about Silent Hill as it is so fondly. It just doesn't really cross their minds.
I think that's fair. I totally understand that. And I think, though, if I was to ask Konami to remake anything, this is it. For sure. And here's what I have here on my notes. I say, what makes a game deserve a remake? Right? And I wrote a little sentence here. Something, very vague on purpose, something holds it back from being as great as it once was or could be. Mechanics, visuals, controls, availability, etc. i.e., it had to be great in some way originally. Mm-hmm. Right? So what is that? So I have it here. What to keep? Large maze-like spaces. That visual heart. You can't just make it this modern generic horror. You can't do the Silent Hill movie version of those monsters.
Which I'd actually really like to watch.
I tried to get Amanda to watch it with me, actually.
Yeah, I was hoping I'd have time to watch it. I've seen it many times, actually.
Oh, really?
I used to love it.
I've never seen it.
We should watch it then. We should watch it sometime soon.
Keep it vague. We talked about that earlier. I actually say maybe keep the bad voice acting.
I don't know.
That's why I said maybe.
Immediately see the argument. I definitely get it. But especially with what you're talking about at the end of Silent Hill 2, which you'll get to, maybe that's not a great idea. If some of those scenes are intended to be
Silent Hill 2
heavy-hitting emotional scenes.
Silent Hill 2 did it.
Yeah.
With that
Troy
voice
Baker.
cast.
Yeah.
No. I played the original.
Oh, wait. I see. Yeah, I thought you meant they did remake it.
No. They did sell those moments.
Yeah, but those would be even better without...
I don't know.
You're right.
I don't know.
I'll retract that statement. They could be.
Yeah.
Because I haven't heard them, I haven't seen them, so I don't know.
I said, though, if you do bad voice acting again, you need to be a little tongue-in-cheek about it.
Yeah. Going back to Twin Peaks. Twin Peaks is stupid. Twin Peaks is so dumb a lot of the time.
It's really melodramatic.
It's stupid soap opera stuff.
Yeah.
Like I forget the cop's name, the silly cop Andy that
Oh my
remember
gosh,
when he
Andy.
steps through the porch and the board hits him in the face, and he's stunned basically, and he's just fumbling around like this for 3 minutes.
It's incredible.
It's so dumb.
It's the greatest.
And then when Nadine gets the patch and becomes a
my
schoolgirl,
gosh.
literally goes back to high school and hooks up with a high school student, they're just so dumb.
It's brilliant.
None of the acting, well, because that is intentional, I won't say the acting is bad, because it's supposed to come across that way, and it works. But
it's a very fine line. It's so delicate, though.
Yes.
Twin Peaks is one of the most delicate tightropes, I think, of anything. Between that really stupid melodramatic soap opera and one of the most, dark, reflective, for lack of a better term, psychological,
it is a fine line, because all of that stuff is happening around the supporting or with the supporting cast. You don't get that from Agent Cooper. You don't get it from Audrey or what's his name, Nadine's husband.
I don't know. Audrey has some moments.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's like when she, especially near the beginning, when she's the femme fatale kind of thing. It does get
but you don't get any of the crazy over the top acting. You get silly lines, like when they talk about Audrey comes in to meet Dale Cooper for the first time, and he's asking for breakfast. He's ordering breakfast, and he sees Audrey and says, "And melons." It's dumb, but it's not delivered that way. They're cheesy lines, but you don't get that sort of over the top acting with those people. The more like important
core
cast, the core cast, or I forget the trucker's wife's name. She gets beat all the time.
I always forget her name.
Yeah, I forget her name also.
It's been a while since I watched that show.
Yeah, it's been a little too long for me.
Okay, I get that.
So there would need to be a fine line. I wonder how the HD remake balances that with Troy Baker, because obviously nobody else delivers, like Troy Baker does in that remake cast, or the HD remaster. So I wonder if you'd be able to strike that.
I don't know.
Careful of a balance.
I think
I'd want to
really
lean
difficult
in one direction entirely, because I don't think most people are capable of.
Yeah, that's fair.
Of doing it like that.
I think, though, one other thing, talking about kind of that campiness, I guess, is maybe keep a weird porcelain style for the cutscenes. Like, maybe not go full, realistic. Maybe leave it a little bit off. In those
that would
cutscenes.
never happen.
No, but I mean, I'm talking about, this is like Perfect World, right? I think that would be the strongest choice, because those cutscenes, man.
Yeah, they're old,
but they're good.
I like them a lot.
Compare that to any other PlayStation 1 cutscene. I think of Tekken. Like that weird, they look so bad.
Anything from Square is incredible.
Sure.
Chrono Cross, Final Fantasy VIII.
That's
Those are awesome.
I think Silent Hill's pretty close though.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not saying it isn't. I'm saying there's plenty that is good. There's plenty that's bad.
Yeah.
But
But from such a small team, did you know one person did every single cutscene? A single person.
What does that mean exactly?
They
animated, modeled. What does that mean?
Whatever it takes to make a cutscene, they did it by themselves.
I would like to hear more about that.
Okay, yeah, I'll send you the article. I'd be happy to be wrong.
Like if one dude modeled all of it, or one person animated all of it, that would make more sense. But just everything in the cutscene, that's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Now there aren't many cutscenes.
No, and they're very short.
Yeah.
And it'll cut out of the cutscene to just normal talking in engine.
To the point where I don't even know why the cutscenes are there.
Yeah, they look great.
Yeah, but they're so infrequent and so short. Like Silent Hill 2. The ones in Silent Hill 2 are so incredibly short. Like, you see, I don't remember the kid's name, but you see him puking in the toilet.
Eddie.
Yeah, so you open the door,
God, I hate Eddie.
and the door opens and starts the cutscene. You see Eddie puking for like 3 seconds, and then it cuts back to gameplay, and you're talking to Eddie while he's there on the floor puking.
Yeah, Eddie's I think, the most interesting character in the game. I think he's got a really simple arc, but it's honestly pretty human, that kind of self-disgust leading into acceptance. Anyway, it's great. Interesting talking about Silent Hill 1. Obviously, you can tell we both like Silent Hill 2 way more.
Yes, I'm actually mad at myself for not being able to finish it. I want to go back and play it, but we run a pretty tight schedule, so it's immediately on to the next games.
So, what to remake is the last thing I want to wrap up with. Controls, obviously. The menu, boss encounters, and then I think one of the most important aspects of remakes, availability. Make it available on modern platforms.
Of course.
I think that's probably the most important thing about a remake is, hey, everybody can play it now. You know? So I think that's pretty important. Let's talk Silent Hill 2.
Let's back up just a moment. There's
so
a ton of rumors about Bloober Team doing the next Silent Hill. And I don't really know where those went. I don't know if they're still, if those rumors have just gained legitimacy. But
when I was checking during the Medium episode, they were still out there.
Still out there?
Pretty strong, actually.
Okay. I wonder if it is for a remake. Because I wonder if the Medium was building that tech.
So here's what I'm curious about is, I bet you if they do a remake, it's going to be Silent Hill 1. And I think it's because people are
Konami
afraid.
Does a remake?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it's because people are afraid to touch Silent Hill 2. Because Silent Hill 1 Silent Hill 1 and 3 and Origins all include the same core cast. And I think even Homecoming has some of that core cast. I'm not sure.
Oh, really?
But like Harry Mason is the star of the first game, and then his daughter's the star of the third game, and then Origins is about what happened right before Harry got there and did stuff. I think Shattered Memory, the one on the Wii.
Yeah.
I think
Shattered Memories.
Yeah, I think that's about Harry and Heather as well. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, but like
so Silent Hill 2 stands alone, pretty much.
Yeah, nobody touched Silent Hill 2. Like that cast, those characters, nobody touched it. And I think and what's funny is all the games post Team Silent, so everything after 4, is in the style of Silent Hill 2, though. That kind of self-reflective psychological horror, and they just keep trying to recreate that journey. And I couldn't really tell why at first when I started Silent Hill 2. Like, this is good, it's interesting, I like it, but it's that last section of the game that just sells that delivery. That just sells his arc and who he is and why he's there. You at once hate him and pity him and just don't know how to feel about him. It's so good. And honestly, some really too close for comfort real moments that happen at the end of that game. Both in the gameplay and in the story itself. So yeah, I really like Silent Hill 2. I think it's fantastic. Yeah. So I bet you 10-1 they'll remake Silent Hill 1 because it's then easy to lead into something like a Silent Hill 3 remake or something, because then you just do... Silent Hill 3 might as well be a direct sequel to Silent Hill 1. You just are playing as the daughter that you get at the end of that game.
The daughter that you unlock. You unlock a daughter. So
seriously, just to wrap it up here, the end of Silent Hill 1... is nuts.
You get a new inventory item, and it is Offspring.
So basically, the body of Alessa. So your daughter is like a split off part of the daughter of So the original daughter of Dahlia Gillespie, the medium lady of the town, who's like the leader of the cult.
Okay.
Her daughter is split into 2 people, and your daughter is one of those 2 people, like Harry's daughter. And then they eventually come back and are reunited into a single being to give birth to God. And she becomes this shining bright light. And depending on which ending you get, I did not get a good ending. I got a bad ending. But instead of the demon coming out of her and you kill the demon, like you just shoot this glowing object that was once your daughter. It's this little glowing light person, and you just shoot it, just like it's this really loud, awful noise. It's really harrowing, actually. It was a really good moment, but yeah, it's really, really bizarre. Not as strong as the ending of Silent Hill 2 for sure. Not as strong.
Okay. I think, from what I remember, it's been a long time since I've watched the first Silent Hill movie. I have no interest in the second one.
Which is based on 3, I think, right?
I'm not sure. I don't know if Silent Hill, the first movie, is based on one of the games.
Yeah, I don't think it is. It has some of the characters though, like Sybil's a character. And,
oh, is she?
Yeah. I don't think Sean Bean's Harry Mason though.
No, isn't Sean Bean in the second one?
No, he's in the first one.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
Well, that's probably a reason I liked it so much. I wonder if Bloober Team is going to be the one to do it.
I hope they are.
Because they have the tech. They've proven they have the tech.
If Kojima's not doing it, they should do it.
Or maybe he's consulting with Bloober Team.
Dude, that'd be awesome. Get him and Guillermo back in there. Oh, it'd be amazing.
Well, you wouldn't really need Guillermo.
Yeah,
in there.
His name's
remaking
Christopher Da Silva, the father of Sharon.
Is Sharon a character from the games?
No, I don't know.
Okay, so it's a standalone Silent Hill story.
Yeah, but you also have Sybil Bennett, the police, the officer.
Okay.
You have Alessa Gillespie.
The
so
witch.
Hard to say. Yeah. There's. It seems like it's I think Pyramid Head is in it. Like, so some of Silent Hill 2 in there too, I guess. I don't know. I do not know.
That makes sense that, depending on the kind of remake, let's pretend we live in a world where Bloober Team is in fact doing a Silent Hill 1 remake. They could go one of two directions. They could go the Blue Point direction and make an extremely faithful remake. Excuse me. Or they could make a modernized version that also leans on some of the lore that has come out post Silent Hill 1. In which case,
that's the way to go.
It would make sense to have Pyramid Head there. If Pyramid Head is a part of Silent Hill, not just Silent Hill 2 or 3.
Yeah.
He just wasn't introduced in the first game. It's not like he belongs to any one game, right? He's a part of Silent Hill, isn't he?
Let's talk Silent Hill 2.
I might be wrong.
Let's talk Silent Hill 2. So, the ending, let's just jump right to it. We'll talk about the improvements and all that stuff in a second. Let's jump right to the ending, because I think it's one of the strongest parts of Silent Hill 2. So, similar control scheme, just way cleaner. The combat pretty much is the same. The bosses are a little better, but not by much. It's still very simple. They're just easier, which is nice. It's less of a pain, basically. And so you're going through a lot of different areas. What's nice about Silent Hill 2 is the pacing is so much better, because like the apartments, weird stuff happens, but really you're not in the other world, quote unquote. I think at all, almost in the apartments. Maybe you are a little bit, like certain rooms
in the apartments.
Yeah, there's like a certain room or two that are in the other world.
Oh, interesting.
But as the game progresses, that other world stuff starts going more and more and more, and things get weirder and weirder to the point.
That's where I ended my playthrough. So far, I might be able to find time to go back, but as soon as you enter into the other world officially, in the hospital, there is immediately a save point. That's where I ended my last session. So
in this game, as you keep progressing, things get weirder to the point where you finally get to you and your wife's special place. Basically, you got a letter from your wife. She says she's supposed to have been dead for 3 years. But she says, "Hey, I'm waiting for you in our special place in Silent Hill." And it's this beautiful little letter too. Like, it just, hearing her read it, it's just so haunting. Anyway, it's fantastic. You should just at least listen to that intro letter. It's so good. And you make your way through to finally get to the hotel where you two stayed together, and you're trying to make your way up to the room you guys shared. And there's a gate blocking the entrance to the third floor with that room. But when you go up there, you hear, James, please, James. Like, you hear her. It freaked me out the first time. But you basically make your way through. Lots of enemies here. You finally get through. And when you get into the room, nobody's in there, and you found a videotape, and you play it, and you figure out that your wife was very sick and died. You smothered her. Like, James smothered her to death, is what you find out.
Okay.
And you kind of have a couple guesses as to why. But Laura, the little girl whom your wife Mary had come to know and love, and wanted to adopt, comes into the room and says, "Come on, let's keep looking for Mary. Let's keep looking for Mary." And James is just not moving. He literally tells her, "I killed her." Like, he's not trying to hide anything from her. She's like, "Mary's dead. I killed her." And the girl starts like just hitting him, like, you know, like little kid just wishing they could move and he just sits there, you know, hands in his laps, unmoving, and this kid just, "I hate you, I hate you, I hate you." Really, really dark moment, honestly. It's really this self-hate, you know. And then he gets up and he hears Mary calling for him again.
Now, why has he forgotten this?
That's unclear. It's it's very clear. It's because he has repressed it on purpose. Okay. So now that he realizes it again, he hears her calling for him, so he keeps going. And when you leave, you're in the other world. And at this point, things have gone off the rails. When you open a door, you are all of a sudden on the other side of like, you basically have to navigate through this crazy teleporting door madhouse. Things start to go crazy. Angela's burning up somewhere. Like, it's absolutely nuts. And you finally make your way up really high to the top of this little resort. And as you're running through, you see, I think the first thing you find is, so this is before this, you find 2 pyramid heads, and they are killing Maria, who is this person who looks just like Mary. And she has died at this point like 3 times in the game.
Okay.
And then you finally realize, it's revealed that Pyramid Head was created by James to punish himself.
Interesting.
So Pyramid Head is literally created by James to punish himself for what he did to Mary, which is why he has to watch Pyramid Head kill Maria over and over and over again. So you beat the Pyramid Heads. He finally says, "No, I'm done. Like, I'm done punishing myself for this." I have the quote here. But while he's doing that, you kind of keep going up further into the, further up and further in. So you go further up and you find Maria waiting for you. And she says, "Just be with me." And you're like, "Nope, not going to do that." And she turns into this bedridden phantom with this long tentacle tail, and you have to kill her. Absolutely crazy. And you kill her, and you have this moment with Mary, like your wife, where you're sitting next to her dying in her bed. And you actually get a moment of forgiveness between both of you, because on your way, and this is what I was building up to, on your way to fight that final boss is this really long hallway. And as you're running through it, you hear some of your wife's last words to you, which is, "I'm so ugly. How could you love me? You should just kill me. I just want to die. I hate this." Like, asking for death, but then also going, "No, please come back. I didn't mean to send you away. Like, I need you with me." And like, very like confused and having a horrible time because she's dying of sickness, right? And so you have this moment at the end of the game where there is reconciliation between the two of you, and then you get whatever ending you were talking about. But that final like run up, like having to listen to her hating herself and wanting to die, you finally start to realize what James was going through, and that he feels trapped. And in fact, he even says that to her. He says, "Yeah, I killed you for you." And he says, "No, that's not true. Part of me hated you for limiting me, for keeping me captive, for not letting me live my life." Like, this really complex, like, really adult
seems like
emotion.
a lot going on.
Yeah, and then, oh man, it's just really good, because the final ending, as everything you get your ending, whatever it is, and it fades to black. As the credits start to roll, instead of credits, she reads that full letter again, and except now it's the full letter. So, you know, in my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill. But she goes through it and talks about like how much she hates herself and is sorry to him for keeping him trapped. And like, it's the most like really adult, complex, like not single emotion thing. I was worked up. It was really good.
I wonder how long the Restless Dreams DLC is.
I don't know, actually. I didn't look that up. I'd like to, though. So all that to say, Pyramid Head, does seem to be tied specifically to James, but because he's so iconic, I think that he's just a part of Silent Hill now. You know what I mean?
But didn't he show up in other games?
He has, yeah, and I think it's because he was just so popular that they pulled him in. But his original intention was just to be James's self-hate, basically.
Unless Silent Hill, I don't know, obviously, haven't finished either of the games. Silent Hill, that other world part of Silent Hill, is sort of some collective conscious sort of situation.
And maybe it has static images and beings that can apply to different parts of different people. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, regardless, I think that's the answer. I just really want to talk about that ending. It's so good. It's so good.
Damn, I wish I could have played
it. Yeah, it's really good, man. So a couple things I think improved on Silent Hill 1. Difficulty options.
Yeah.
Split between combat and puzzle difficulty,
which is great. I've actually never seen that. I've never seen
it. Do that, man. And I picked normal for both, and I think normal is a little too easy for combat. Like, I had an absolute breeze.
It is very easy,
but I don't think it's a bad thing.
I wouldn't go any harder because the game isn't really about that combat.
That's fair.
And I think the combat would actually be pretty terrible at a harder difficulty. I don't think the game would, because it does breeze pretty quickly. I was able to get through to the point that I did pretty easily, not just in the combat, but the puzzles, and I don't think things are too obscure. I may have just gotten lucky because this is it seems to be a point of contention that you've mentioned. The first game is pretty obscure, and because I looked at a guide for how to get into the school in the first one, really you have to search every street.
Yep.
Look at every door. I was already doing that in the second one, so I didn't miss anything. I got all the coins. I got whatever I needed for all the puzzles.
I missed that stupid coin in Angela's room. It's so hard to see.
I didn't.
I couldn't see it. Well, there's a couple times in Silent Hill 2 where I think the problem with the obscurity is not in the puzzles themselves. There's a really good puzzle in Silent Hill 2 where there are 6 people hung in a room and there's just dead bodies hanging. And you go to another room and you find this little poem and some empty nooses. And the poem is just 6 people who committed crimes and were hung for them. And you need to you can only pull down one noose at a time, basically. You're trying to find out which noose to pull down to complete the puzzle. And you start to realize, as you read the story, one of these guys is innocent. And you have to figure out which one is innocent. Okay. And then you pull that noose and you go and find the progression item. Like, the puzzles are really good. It's the item picking up. There's a couple times where I got lucky, where I have no idea how someone would see that little tiny pixel on a desk of a key. There's a part in the hotel where you have to go into a room, off to the side, through some tables that look like you can barely go through them, keep moving into a part that looks like you can't go to. The camera angle will change to see really close to the table where there's something you can pick up. The same thing right outside. There's sitting on a fountain, a little box you need, and it's only gettable if you stand literally at 1 pixel in front of the fountain, then the camera angle will change and you can pick it up. Like, just some dumb crap like that.
I didn't get that far with the fountain, but I wonder if it was updated for the Xbox release, for the Restless Dreams release, because I didn't have I didn't have much trouble. And even the trash chute, you're supposed to drop something down the trash.
Oh yeah, I figured that out.
Yeah, so did I, but I didn't realize where to go. I was looking for somewhere in the building for the trash chute. I didn't remember seeing the trash outside. So I looked at where to go for that, and it seems like a lot of people had trouble figuring out how to drop the trash.
Oh, how to drop the trash?
Yeah.
That is a little bit weird, like dropping the cans. I just kind of assumed, like, I'm going to have to drop something on there, and I'm like, I have these, like, what else would I use this 6-pack for?
Yeah.
Which, that's not a defense of the puzzle. I do think that's dumb and obscure. I think the guy's literally holding a giant iron pole. He should be able to just nudge that thing down.
Yeah. There's plenty of stuff that doesn't make sense, but this is not only a video game, but it's an old video game, so you have to apply that video game logic.
Yeah. Some other things I think improved is they doubled down on the architecture that descends from believable to impossible. I was telling you, there's a section of the game where you have to jump down this really, really, like, I mean, a drop that would kill you, really, but it doesn't because it's Silent Hill. This dark hole, and you get down, you start exploring, and there's another hole, and then another hole, but you're still in the same building, and there's another hole, and you just keep dropping, like, hundreds of feet down into the earth, but you open a door, and hey, I'm back on the street. Like, it's fantastic, just the impossible architecture stuff.
I'd like to see that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if maybe I can just wake up a little early and play it over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, man.
Just put, like, 45 minutes to an hour in.
It's a delight, and there's no true BS in it, I would say. Like, that can't be conquered with a guide. It's not like a boss that's BS or an enemy or something. Like, you'll be fine. Like, there's none of that stuff like there is in Silent Hill 1. Way more focused on the psychological horror, obviously. I mean, we talked about the ending. Everything ties into James. We talked about a scene. I showed you a scene from Angela, who was sexually abused by her father. And the enemy that attacks her is literally a cot with legs and what looks to be like a fleshy sheet over it, as if some two or one person is rustling underneath those sheets.
Yeah, and then it covers you when it attacks you. It, like, jumps on you.
Yeah, it's
right?
very...
And then the camera specifically turns to be in front of it, so it shows you and this other creature.
It's disgusting.
Covered by the fleshy sheet.
Like,
it's really gross.
So, and
like the baby from Final Fantasy. I mean, Resident Evil 8.
Yeah,
that kind of just.
And the room that it's
disgusting.
fighting you in is it's a fleshy room with these iron rods that push into these little holes along the wall. Like, this is psychological horror at its best and grossest. Like, it does a good job. I'm
just leaning even more towards Bloober Team being the one to do the remake.
They'd be so good.
Everything from the medium has built the foundation. Every aspect of the medium has laid the foundation for a Silent Hill 1 remake.
Bloober Team, we need you. We need you. I like that the health is a little more vague in this game. I think that works. It's not quite this, you have green, now yellow, now red. It's just this, like, it's literally a picture of the unpaused screen in some color of greenish, grayish, or reddish. Like,
there's green there too?
If you get to, like, max health, yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm never at max health.
Yeah, I wasn't.
I didn't realize that so much. It's a slowly fading red tint over the whole picture,
and it's like a grainy VHS thing. Yeah, it's good.
It's kind of hard to see.
The puzzles are more explicitly puzzles. They kind of look more like the school puzzle from Silent Hill 1, which I think is the strongest part of Silent Hill 1. They're these large open spaces, items required to progress, the occasional riddle. I think it just does those things better because those large open spaces do have a little bit longer downtime, maybe some cutscenes, some time with Maria or Eddie or Laura. Like, there's more in there to kind of break up those longer sections. And running into Pyramid Head the first time is fantastic. He's just standing behind those bars and your little radio, which starts to crackle as you get near enemies, is just going crazy, and he's just waiting for you to watch him do whatever he's doing to those mannequins.
Oh, yeah. What is happening?
Yeah, it's...
Or the second time.
And I like that it's kind of like, I don't know exactly what he's doing, but I know it's gross and wrong. Like it's... Yeah. It's just perfectly put together, little cutscenes, which aren't really just like in-engine cutscenes, The characters are much more engaging. The Mary Maria stuff is way more interesting than just Harry running through going, "Have you seen my daughter?" The whole game. Really bad. The second he sees a human being, "Have you seen?" Which I guess is realistic in their defense. Like, if I lost,
it's so unbelievable.
He's like, "Have you seen my daughter? I need to find Cheryl. Have you seen Cheryl? Cheryl, have you seen Sybil? There you are. Have you seen Cheryl?" Like, oh my, I get it. You're looking for your daughter. Can you just, I don't know, ask any different way, please?
Yeah. Or he also doesn't seem to be particularly urgent. Like, he just has a totally chill conversation with Sybil. "Why are you here?" "I'm looking for my daughter who has disappeared."
"I'm looking for my daughter who is potentially dead."
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. You want some coffee?
Yeah.
My daughter's just probably mutilated on the street right
exactly.
now. Have you seen her? My daughter?
Cheryl? It's pretty bad. So there are some things too that Silent Hill 2 kept from Silent Hill 1. Even though, again, we talked about the higher fidelity, even still kind of hard to make out exactly what those monsters are, and I think that's a great touch. Letting the player fill in those gaps on their own, and maybe when you do your second playthrough, which it wants you to, okay, I know what James did and what's wrong with him, what his demons are, and be able to put those pieces together. Pretty cool stuff. Still having to go to the menu for everything, so they kept that. Gotta pause.
Unfortunately.
Gotta pause all the time. They kept the atmosphere, the fog, obviously.
I haven't seen the PS2 footage, because the Xbox release is an updated version. Not an HD remake, though it plays in 1080i. It looks great. Yeah, the Xbox, this is the first time I've ever turned on my original Xbox. It's a powerhouse of a console. From that generation. I wish I wasn't so invested in the PS2 already. I've got 100 PS2 games, but I've got 5 Xbox games. I wish I would have purchased more from that generation on the Xbox.
Sure.
Just because it's probably the best way to play. But yeah, it renders in 1080i. I just go into the Xbox settings, the main menu settings of the console, and there it is. It's on my HD TV. It's running great. But the fog, I wanted to know if the effects had changed. I could just look this up. But are in the PS2, is the fog just like clouds that keep coming at you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely the way it is. It's odd.
Yeah, it's
I
crazy.
prefer the fog in the first game.
I like the snow, the dandruff snow in the first game. Like
The dandruff.
that's what it looks like. It's like this God's dandruff. Just...
God. Yeah, I guess.
And but it's like flakes.
Yeah.
Like, but it's I really liked the snow effects in that first game. Yeah, both games build incredible atmosphere. So this game holds up much better than Silent Hill 1. One thing I did like better in Silent Hill 1 though, and the town itself felt more sinister. When I was in the town in Silent Hill 2, I would just, move through. There wasn't really anything, maybe some blood streaks here or there, but like...
Yeah, it's
But Silent Hill 1, like, you'll stumble across, like, a bloody mass or a mutilated body or, like, just something gross and horrifying just around a corner somewhere with nothing else there. Maybe there's some ammo on the ground. I did miss that. That's the only thing.
I think that's because, James mentions it a couple times. He asks what's happening here. I think. I could be wrong about this, but I think he asks what is happening in the present tense. I think in Silent Hill 1, you've shown up late to the party. But it has started really just before you got there in Silent Hill 2.
I didn't think about that. Yeah. I still like it better, though.
So do I.
Yeah.
So do I, definitely.
But I get that.
I mean,
That's
I
fair.
played very little of Silent Hill 1, and I definitely agree.
So, one thing that I want to talk about is the true ending, because I think it's something you would like. So, to get the true ending, you have to collect these 4 seemingly random items throughout the game. And there's a couple other requirements. But you take your wife's dead body you're rowing out on a little rowboat, which is a great section of the game. You have to, like, row to an island, and it's all fog, and you can't see anything on your map. Like, it's literally just rowing aimlessly toward a light. If you're lucky enough to see the light, it's nice because it comes after a really intense section of the game. So it's just like this rowing little rowboat. But anyway, you row out to the island with your wife's dead body, and James is talking about he's realized that this place is thick with the work of the old gods. They're still alive and active here. So he's going to prepare a sacrifice with these objects, and he's going to bring his wife back to life using the power of the gods of Silent Hill.
Does he?
It cuts off right as he pulls up to the island, and that's the true ending.
Interesting.
Isn't that a cool ending?
Yeah.
I like that a lot. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool stuff.
Gods of Silent Hill.
He calls them the old gods are still alive here.
That'd be a good place for God of War 3. We'll go to Silent Hill.
Yeah, there we go.
Deal with those gods, that pantheon.
Yeah, that pantheon. It would just be the most disgusting, fleshy monstrosities. So there's also, I mean, the true ending, which is a dog has been controlling all of the events. Yeah, so if you find if you find the dog key, you can open a door that leads to a room with a little puppy who is like moving a bunch of knobs and levers, and this dog is controlling all of the events of Silent Hill.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't that fantastic?
No, that's just stupid.
Well, no, that's intentionally like a secret silly ending to the game. Like,
yeah, but why?
And then James goes, it's been you, and he like bows down to the dog.
What?
It's incredible.
That's so dumb.
There's another ending. If you see all 4 UFOs in the game, then you'll be abducted by aliens, and he meets Harry Mason, who has also been abducted by aliens.
Okay.
It's just silly. Yeah, I don't think you can get them until you do a real ending, though, which is nice. But those endings are there for those who would like to find them.
Oh.
Love it. I love it. Definitely not as good as that. I think the true ending, and I actually like the ending I got. Basically, James takes his own life, and it's just that horror movies and stories should be tragic, I think.
Yeah.
And so he's like, no, I don't want to live if I can't live with Mary. And so honestly, it doesn't show anything. It's just he says, I don't want to live if I don't live with Mary, and you just hear like his car speeding up, and then a crash, and that's it. It's really good.
It's good.
It's good. So I really like Silent Hill 2. This is a game that I would recommend to anyone my age and above. I think I'd have trouble recommending it to someone younger who didn't grow up playing PS2, maybe. It does have some old game-ness to it, but
not much. I mean, you know by now, if you've listened to any of the podcasts up to this point, I don't really have much patience for the sort of BS that comes from old, poorly designed games. I didn't even get to the school in the first Silent Hill. I genuinely enjoy this. It's got a little bit of jank that comes from its age, but barely. I think it holds up extremely
really
well.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And
not to say I wouldn't recommend it to someone younger than me, but I would immediately recommend it to someone who is my age or older.
If it is, if those things are something that you don't really have much patience for, just turn the difficulty down for both of those things, the puzzle and the combat, because definitely don't turn the combat up. If you want a little more of a brain buster, maybe turn the puzzle.
I've read some of those
up.
hard riddles though.
Yeah, for the coin,
they're
I read the hard one.
Really tough. Yeah, that's the only one I read is the coin.
I wouldn't want to. I
was like, what does this mean?
Yeah. So just knock the combat down. Definitely don't bump it up past normal, because I really don't think the combat could support the difficulty.
Did you do the piano puzzle in Silent Hill 1?
No.
Okay, it's in the school, but basically there's these piano keys, and they have some blood on them, and there's a riddle that says like the crow flew behind the pelican, and the pelican flew ahead of the swan. And so it's telling you which order to play the black and white keys. But the key to the puzzle is in the title. It says the soundless birds. So you have to play only the keys that don't actually work anymore. That's a good puzzle. I like that one a lot.
Something we didn't mention, which is really just a small aside. The first time I went into the menu or I saved, I was like, what is this? I've heard this over and over. These sound effects.
Oh yeah.
I realized that Lone Survivor straight up stripped these sound effects, like just from the PC version. Probably took the sound effects and used the menu sounds and the save sound effects in
that game keeps growing on me
in Lone Survivor. And also, this game provides a lot of context for Lone Survivor. I get it a little more now.
That's really fair.
It makes so much more sense.
Yeah, and what also makes sense to me...
And I don't mean the narrative. I just mean why this game exists.
Yeah.
I see what you're trying to do here.
Yeah. And what's amazing to me is Silent Hill. I was watching a video. Internet Historian has a channel called Story Mode where he talks through the story of a video game. It's really funny. But he does the whole Silent Hill series, all 8 games. Everything but the Vita game, basically. So 8 of the 9, some would say, mainline Silent Hill games. And he he talks about, he finishes it up. He plays Downpour, and he talks through the whole game. And he says, so basically, just play Silent Hill 1 and 2. You know, which is funny because I know that's a little bit, there's a word for it that I'm blanking on. Reductive, thank you. It's a little reductive because 3 and 4 have their staunch defenders for very weird and interesting reasons. 3 less so. 3 just, I think people look back on and they say, no, this is better than everyone gives it credit for. 4 is just an interesting game. But all those 14 Silent ones are, from what I understand, all have their merits. But he has a point. Everything after Silent Hill 4 has been trying to recreate Silent Hill 2's psychological horror narrative. James's story. They've been trying to do something like that. And from most people's perspectives, I haven't played them, so I can't say definitively, have failed. They have failed to do that. And I see now why Silent Hill is able to live through so many crap games, if they really are. Which, I haven't played them, but from what I understand and how most people talk about them, they're not good games.
Okay.
And this series has lived on through that. It's kind of dead now, but lived on through all those entries because of what people remember, I'd argue, from Silent Hill 2. There is nothing in video games that is quite like the psychological horror of Silent Hill 2. And it has influenced and brought so many other... Think of The Medium, even. A game we just played. I see some Silent Hill 2 in The Medium. Like, it is there. This game is alive, a beating heart in the horror game industry, even now. I have a deep and profound respect for Silent Hill 2 now. And I'm glad I played it.
It's great. I really, really want to finish it. More so than most of the games we've played this year that I have not had a chance to finish.
Yeah, it's definitely a Tyler game.
I want to play this. I just had so much going on this week.
If you just use a guide the whole way, I'm sure you can breeze right through.
Yeah, and I'm not ashamed of using a guide. In fact, I will look for a Prima guide just to have that on hand.
Yeah, man.
I like getting some of those.
Yeah.
I've got a few of the old Pokemon games, Final Fantasy Tactics, all of the Tactics games. I've been trying to find Tactics Ogre, Let Us Cling Together, but that's expensive.
Oh, no.
The Final Fantasy Tactics one is like close to $100.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really, really crazy.
Yeah, I
found it for $7 on eBay. Some guy just didn't know.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's great to have on hand.
You got anything else you want to say, my man?
I don't. I don't. Unfortunately, there's not much more I could say, just because I lack the experience, unfortunately. So I'm happy to cut it off there. If you don't have anything else.
No, I'm good. Just want to say Happy Halloween to everyone. Yes. We made it through our horror series, our little October rush, as I like to call it. We made it through.
Indeed. And back to the 2-week structure now.
Yeah. Whew. And we will be kicking it off with Metroid Dread and Oddworld Soulstorm.
Yes, which is a great pairing. We'll tell you about that during that episode, really why we're playing those together. But it's great that both of these series are getting actual sequels now in 2021. Very excited for that, and to go back to the 2-week structure. A few games every week is a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot.
And thankfully, Metroid, I bet you'll finish in 3 sittings.
Yeah,
yeah. I bet you'll be done pretty quick. Because it's Metroid. Like, you kind of get sucked in to I remember where that thing is, and I want to go check. Oh, let me get that item. And yeah,
it's very interesting. Like, Metroid has always. I think the genre, because I definitely did this with Hollow Knight. I get a new skill, or I would finally have enough to buy the map add-on that I needed, and I found a bunch of things, and be like, oh, that's only going to take 5 minutes to get there. Sure. It's the one more turn mentality for an open world game. It's very odd that those are able to keep doing that.
Yeah.
To pull you in just a little bit, like really cause you to become addicted.
Yeah.
They've all done that to me, and I'm sure that'll happen with Metroid Dread as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. Excited to talk about it. I think that's it, man.
All right. Well, definitely check out our Instagram and the other one, Twitter, mostly Instagram. You'll see posts for our open Discord. We're going to do that through the end of the month and probably for the next episode as well, which might actually come out in November, but will be recorded before then. So this episode and then the next one, our Discord will still be open. So if you'd like to join us, come join the budding community. Talk about all of your Silent Hill memories, shattered or not, and just tell us what you love about horror games or video games at large. You know, that's what we're all about, sharing games with each other. Share what you love with who you love, or in this case, just like-minded people. But we'd love to have you. So come join the Discord.
I mean, I love you.
Yes. Come join the Discord. Tell us about the games you've been playing. Maybe we can play some together. And give us a like and a follow as well. Thank you so much for joining. And again, don't forget to share what you love with who you love.